Hello, I'm Jake, Mr. Jake, and I'd like to recommend a movie. Today's recommendation is my personal favorite movie of all time, so this is going to be a little bit biased, but if IMDb is any indication, then I'm certainly not the only bloke who likes this film. It is called Léon, and quite frankly, it is the single greatest French movie ever made.
The story follows heroic DEA agent Norman Stansfield, played by Gary Oldman, as he struggles to keep the streets of Los Angeles free of drugs while our villain, the title character Léon, played by Jean Reno, tries his best to kill our hero. Léon is a professional hitman, a guy who kills people for money, making him an easy choice for the lead villain. He wants to kill Stansfield because, get this, a 10-year-old girl called Matilda, played by Princess Amidala from Star Wars, thinks to hire him to take out not only Stansfield but an entire squad of DEA agents. All this happens after Matilda's family is killed during a drug bust. Then Léon, in a truly uncharacteristic move, pretty much adopts her and basically takes her on as an apprentice.
Here, I must talk about how brilliant this movie is in its portrayal of hitmen.
Jean Reno's Léon is one of the highlights of the film. Not only does this character show uncommon virtues for a villain, his tragic backstory almost makes the audience want to root for him were he not the bad guy. Another thing that's admirable about the character beyond the great emotional depth is his outstanding professionalism.
He uses a silencer, knows how to take his victims by surprise, can handle himself in close quarters, always has a backup plan, has a penchant for explosives, and he fully understands the single most important rule of assassination. The further you are from your victim, the easier the getaway.
Why, there's a scene that can pretty much function as a tutorial for prospective assassins about how to use a sniper rifle, in which Léon points out that the knife is the last thing you learn to use when you're learning the trade of the hitman, which is of course true.
Not that I would know anything about that, of course. After all, I am not a professional hitman, retired or otherwise. I just watch a lot of hitman movies. That's all.
One thing I found truly interesting about this film is how complex the villains are. Take Matilda, for instance. She is the daughter of a drug dealer, yet she seems to be straight edge, which is admirable. She likes the original 1980s Transformers, which is also a positive human quality. Yet she has this unquenchable lust for murder as she insists that Léon should kill Agent Stansfield, despite that Stansfield and company were simply doing their job.
True, Stansfield kills some innocent people, including a 4-year-old, but they were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time during a drug bust, whereas Léon's victims die because somebody wants them to. You see, the latter case is murder, whereas the former is just the way of the world.
Speaking of Stansfield, he is a true anti-hero. He takes his job dead seriously and is truly intense in his war on drugs, not minding if innocents get caught in the crossfire. He's a lot like 24's Jack Bauer. All is fair game as long as the desired result is achieved, including making sure that he knows everything about the substance he's trying to get off the streets. He's also elegant, wearing a fine suit, albeit one of a far too light color for my liking, but at least he's not ripping off my style. On top of all that, he's also a music aficionado, executing a drug bust to the tunes of none other than Ludwig van Beethoven. Being a music lover myself, I like that about him quite a bit.
Admittedly, I am not the biggest fan of classical music, but I like a couple of compositions, and Ludwig van Beethoven is in fact my personal favorite composer from the era preceding the 1980s.
To summarize, this film has everything that spells greatness. A strong villain in Jean Reno's Leon, a likable hero in Gary Oldman's Stansfield, excellent action sequences, great depth in the characterization of both leads, and even a surprisingly not annoying 10-year-old sidekick to the villain. Not to mention Danny Aiello's stereotypical Italian gangster. If it worked in The Godfather, it will work in anything.
The ending of Leon deserves special mention. It is like a symphony of carnage and mayhem, beautifully composed and masterfully conducted. Ludwig himself could not have done it better. As for how exactly it ends, I shall not tell you. I understand that these days is common practice in video reviews to blatantly spoil the ending, but I think that's just plain unpolite and it would be most ungentlemanly of me to do so. Not to mention that, personally, I think people who spoil other people's amusement should be skinned alive. Slowly. To the tunes of Beethoven, of course. Or an 80s song. Hey, if you gotta skin a guy, you should at least enjoy the music.